Hello there, Mad Mike here, and welcome back to the channel. And before we get into today's topic, I just want to say that we've been a little spotty in the last week or so on the channel. There's been a lot going on, obviously because of personal stuff with me with work related stuff. But now that it's kind of all been worked out, I'm going to have a lot of time. And today I'm actually going to be putting out 3 videos to kind of make up for it. So this is the first video for today, which we are going to talk about it was a rumor, it has since been confirmed, that Rosario Dawson is going to be playing Ahsoka Tano in Mandalorian Season 2. Now, this has a lot of baggage with it. And here's the thing that I don't like about it. I don't like the fact they're including other major Star Wars, and I would consider Ahsoka a major Star Wars character, other major Star Wars characters in The Mandalorian. I think you have enough there where you should be focusing more on Pedro Pascal's Mandalorian, and Gina Carano's Lorna Doone, and Baby Yoda, and why am I drawing Carl Weathers, his character. I think there's more to focus on there than kind of just sticking in more characters. Now, the thing is I think that Ahsoka would do fine if they gave her maybe her own series because of where they left her off at the end of Rebels, where she's searching for Ezra Miller after he made the jump to light space, or he made the light speed jump at the end of the series. So, if that's the case, I think that would have been fine. But to kind of weave it in with The Mandalorian, I think The Mandalorian worked really good when it was kind of him palling around with Baby Yoda, and occasionally Gina Carano and Carl Weathers would show up. And then, of course, everything kind of comes together at the end of that season. But I think that it works best when you just have that two-person dynamic where you have the Mandalorian and you have Baby Yoda, and then the other characters kind of drop in and drop out, which maybe that's what's going to happen with Ahsoka. I don't hate the casting. I think Rosario Dawson is a good actress. I liked her in the Marvel Netflix series. I think she's done good in some other movies. I remember her from Clerks too, just because I remember her looking weirdly at the donkey scene. But I don't know why that one. I think that one just specifically sticks in my head because of the donkey show. But I think she'll do a good job. I think she's a relatively good actress. Like I said, I'm just curious how that's going to work with all the baggage that character brings into the show. And I'm not saying bad baggage. I'm just saying that character has a long history in the series now, from the Clone Wars all the way up until now, post-Galactic Civil War. And I believe they stated that if she were to take place, assuming Mandalorian Season 2 takes place right after Season 1, Ahsoka Tano would be about the age of 45, which would make sense for Rosario Dawson because she's in her early 40s. But again, I think it upsets the dynamic. I think that it worked a lot better when you had those kind of individual stories. I think having a more plot-driven story in terms of, the first season of The Mandalorian, you can, other than a few select episodes, you can isolate a lot of those episodes as their own thing. The episode where I think it's episode 4, when he meets Gina Carano for the first time and they have to save that little town. That's a perfect one. I think episode 6 was the one where he goes to break all those people out of prison. That's the one where you have Bill Burr cameos and Clancy Brown and a few other people. That one really stands on its own. The first episode really stands on its own for the most part. I mean, it does lead into something, but for the most part, that episode also stands on its own. Episode 7 and 8 are two-parters, but really, I liked that about it because it felt a bit more like a Western serial, and that's really what I enjoyed about it. I think if you start introducing too much of the Jedi elements, I think you're going to fall into that pit trap of it's just going to wind up being all about the Jedi, and then nobody cares unless you have a lightsaber, that kind of thing. I think that's a bad move. Now, I'm also going to defer because Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni know what they're doing in terms of Star Wars, and Dave Filoni, I believe, created this. Actually, no, I stand corrected. I think George Lucas created Ahsoka Tano, but Dave Filoni did a majority of the writing for that character during Clone Wars and Rebels. So I'm not really that concerned in terms of her being written well. Again, it's just kind of the balance of the story because it's like the Mandalorian is not, we look at Jedi's for the most part. They seem like they're invincible in a lot of cases, especially when they're fighting normal soldiers. They just tear through them like tissue paper, as opposed to, it's different when they're fighting another Jedi or a Sith or something like that because it's they're all kind of on even ground, but everybody else just kind of falls by the wayside for the majority of it. Other than kind of badasses like Jango Fett or Boba Fett and people like that, and probably the Mando too. But the thing is, the Mandalorian was shown to be very human in the series. I mean, he almost dies near the end of the first season. So it's not he's not painted as this sort of invincible warrior. He's just extremely skilled. Again, a lot like one of those Western gunslingers. I think back to Clint Eastwood in the first Dollars trilogy film, Fistful of Dollars, where midway through that movie he gets beaten like half to death, and then he has to kind of recover and come back and take revenge and all that stuff. So it's really a movie about it's really, the show itself captured that very well, and I liked that. I think if you go too far away from the Western elements and you go more towards the fantasy realm of stuff, I think that you muddy the waters a bit too much. Because that's the other thing that Star Wars has kind of always been separated out into is that, especially people that enjoy the original trilogy, is they're the people that were really fascinated by the Jedi and the Force and how all that stuff works. And then there were the other people that kind of just really liked the blaster play and the Old West kind of feeling and the battles and stuff like that. As opposed to the other, more fantasy related elements. And I think that's why a lot of people wound up being attracted to Star Wars in the first place, is because of the combination of those two elements. But now we're seeing, I think, a little too much of it being injected in. Again, that's also me going on the assumption that she is going to play a major part in this. It could just be that she's in this for, a couple episodes and then she bows out. But the other thing is, Rosario Dawson is an A-list, well, I shouldn't say A-list, but she's a top-tier actress in terms of probably what they had to pay her. Now, even though I don't remember offhand if she's been in any big movies lately. I know she's done a lot of television. Obviously she's been in the Marvel Netflix series, even though all those have ended. I'm pretty sure she's been doing some other television work lately too, but I can't put my finger on it at the moment. But again, she's an actress who has worked in Hollywood for a lot of years. She's been around for a while. So it wouldn't surprise me if they were paying her a decent amount, even if she's only coming in for a couple of episodes. So I think that would be money wasted in terms of how they were doing it. And the other thing is that a lot of people were kind of curious of is why they didn't cast the actual voice actor for Ahsoka. And I think maybe it's just because Rosario Dawson has different facial features. I think they thought that would work better. I think they thought she looked more physically like the character than the voice actor, even though the voice actor obviously sounds exactly like the character. The other thing is this will be the first live action introduction we have to this character. So again, I'm curious. The other thing is I believe the last time that she was left off in terms of theatrics is currently she's in the Clone Wars season 6, but obviously we've skipped past that already into Rebels territory, where at the end of Rebels she's searching for Ezra Miller, or Ezra Bridger. Why did I say Ezra Miller? Ezra Miller is the guy that plays the Flash. Or used to. No, Ezra Bridger. So maybe that's going to play into it somehow. Because again, the Mandalorian is trying to find out where Baby Yoda came from, so maybe she's going to help with that because she's a Jedi, so I could see that working out. But again, I don't want to see the Mandalorian playing second fiddle to somebody, and that, I think, would be a problem in his own show, to make him play second fiddle. If you're going to do this, you need to establish that he is the dominant character immediately, and that she is kind of the second tier. Or if she is a leading character, that she is, a little bit behind him. He should still be the central point of this. Him and Baby Yoda should still be there. Also, Gina Carano is coming back as her character too, so you have her in the mix. I'm sure Carl Edwards will be showing up again. He's still in the mix. So there's a lot going on with this season already. I know they wrapped filming, I think, about 2 or 3 weeks ago, so I don't know when the actual release date for this is. I would imagine it's sometime around the holidays for them to finish up all the effects work. But I want to know what you think. Are you excited for Ahsoka Tano to be in Mandalorian Season 2? Do you think that's a good idea? Do you not like it? Are you concerned? Do you like the casting? Put your thoughts in the comments below. Again, I like to read them. Hit the bell for notifications, hit the like button, subscribe, and remember, I live my life free of compromise. Do you?